Hey, Mike Callahan back again with a little pre-holiday knowledge bomb coming at you. It was on the Service Autopilot's user group page, and someone asked if they could use Service Autopilot to create a pre-built estimate template that would load and calculate based on the square footage of a landscape bed. So the gentleman was thinking that he could measure the size of the landscape bed, plug in some data, and have Service Autopilot automatically populate the quantity needed, the price, and a budgeted time. So I'm actually going to dive in live and show you how this is done in Service Autopilot step by step. So if you're watching this live, I'm going to repost the recording so you can go back step by step and actually how to do this. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to go in and use the executable blueprint. So I'm going to pull up my other screen here and throw this up to the broadcast and narrow this down the opposite direction so you can actually see what I'm doing. So this is our working blueprint. You probably, if you've talked to me on a consulting call, you probably heard me say this before, but basically this is our blueprint. We're not going to go out and build a house without a blueprint. We're not going to throw a door and a window here and there. We want to go and have an executable blueprint. So if we're going to build a pricing matrix setup and a template setup in Service Autopilot, I really recommend having an executable blueprint. So I'm going to dive into the steps of the setup for the mulch install, and then I'm actually going to literally set the service up, the template, connect the documents, and then run you through a live actual estimate. So what we've got here is mulch install, and we're going to go in and say from X 1 square foot to X amount of square feet covers so many yards. So in a mulch installation, not somewhat similar to pine straw as well in the South, but we're going to look at the mulch installation option here. So 1 to 200 square feet is going to cover 2 inches of depth. So you could make multiple depths in there from maybe 1 to 100, 1 to 200, 1 to 300 for 1, 2, and 3 inch depths. I'm just going to show you a 2-inch example here. But right now we're going to charge $110. We're budgeting 1 hour. And it's going to cost us $66. So what we've done here in the first 2 cells is we're looking to charge $55 per man hour. We've got an expense per hour of $38. So that's what it costs us to operate just in labor before we make a profit. So we're charging $55. We're breaking even at $38. And then our cost per 1 yard of material is $28, and the charge per yard after the base price, I'm going to plug this in here to be $28. So I'm actually on the fly, somewhat live doing this. And then the second line here is every 200 square feet over our base price of 200 square feet is an additional $110. So our standardized price is $110 per yard, 1 man hour. So as we're looking at the man hours, it's what it takes 1 person to do the job. If it's a multiple person crew SA, when you dispatch it, we'll do the math and pull that down for you. We've got a budgeted cost of $66. So the next area we're going to go down here is scroll down, and we're going to look at drive time. So this is the drive time from your shop to wherever you're picking up the mulch and to the job and back. So I said for each trip, it's going to take us a half hour. And we took a price of $27.50. So the math here is the 0.5 times the break-even cost of $38 is costing us $19 to do that job, an expense. So we're charging $27. It's costing us $19 in non-billable drive time. So we're covering that area. And then every 1 over 1 is an additional $27.50, half hour, and budgeted cost of $19. So we can cover multiple trips for drive time. And then we went in and looked at mulch pickup. So whether you're using a pile at your own shop or you have to go pick it up, we want to count for that load and unload time. So same exact process here. We said it would take 1 hour based on the $55 an hour. We calculate out to be 55 and a break even to 38. So each time we had to go. So maybe our dump truck only could carry 10 yards of mulch, and we had to go back and go refill at our shop or the garden center that we shop at. We can recover those increments as well. So that's the foundational blueprint. Now I'm going to go into SA and show you how to actually build this out. So first thing we're going to do is go into scheduling settings. We're going to start out and actually add the services. And as we pull this up, we're just going to hit add a service. And as this loads here, if you don't have this in, that's fine. But a lot of companies we've been working with here, we're setting up probably 6 to 7 brand new SA accounts a week. So these are the foundational elements. If you don't have them in SA and you're already using it, we really suggest doing it here. So we're going to do FBL for Facebook Live so I can find it quick, and Mulch Install. So I'm going to copy and paste this just in the descriptions here for time's sake. And service mode is flat rate. So the main thing you're going to need here is the code, the tax rate, if you have one, service mode, invoice description, and estimate description as well. One thing we were doing a lot with a lot of Service Autopilot clients, especially some people have been flying into New York for our deep dive events, is we've actually been embedding property specific estimate videos. And this is where we've been putting them in here under the source code. So that's been really instrumental. So we're going to replicate yourself through technology. Now we're going to get into the rate matrix. So this is kind of the nuts and bolts of what we're looking at. So we're going to set that calculation at quantity rate times visits, and we're going to base it on square footage of landscape beds. So hopefully I've got that in here. Yep, Facebook Live bed square footage. And we're going to go in here and say 1 to 200 square feet was that 2-inch depth. I'm going to go back to my blueprint now. So this is where it's important. So we've got this up here at service number 1. It's $110 for 1 budgeted hour. So we're going to plug in the 110, 1 budgeted hour. And then if I go back, labor and materials was $66 for labor and materials, break even before we make a profit. And since we're charging per yard in this example, you can go down to a half a yard or a quarter yard if you want. I'm going to try to keep it really simple. So I'm going to say every 200 over 200 is an additional $110, budgeted hours of 1, and $66 labor and materials. So I'm going to hit save and new. Now that's our parent service. So that's the main service that it goes into here. And I actually forgot to put the income account here. So set that up for service income, save and new. And we're going to set some child services up. So what we're going to have is Facebook Live mulch drive time. And we're going to put in estimates only. And we are going to go into Facebook Live child service for mulch install. Pull this up. Looks like I've got 2 Facebook Live examples in here. So I want to make sure I've got the right one. And I'm going to hop back to the other Facebook Live one we just built out for the mulch just to make sure as we do this live, the numbers actually jive and we're in good shape. And it looks like we did one of these examples in August. So this is a common question. This is a little bit different spin on it, but this is these are the things we're learning and teaching each other in Service Autopilot, how to actually use it. So right now, we're going to go back in. So I've got mulch install, labor and materials, drive time, and now I'm going to need to go find the mulch pickup. So this is to either loading it at your shop or driving to a garden center. So I'm going to go in here and add another service. We're going to grab this as a child service of the original Facebook or the original mulch service itself. So this is going to be drive time. And we're going to go into estimates only. That's going to compact it down. And we're going to go Facebook Live mulch. And there it is. We're going to attach that to the parent service of mulch install. And we're going to go to the rate matrix. Same thing again. We're going to go into quantity rate times visits. We're going to say every 1 to 1 is, and then we're going to go back to our executable blueprint again. $55 with 1 budgeted hour. And it was costing us $38 to produce that drive time. So we're just going to manipulate that again. Every 1 over 1 is an additional 58 or 55, 1 budgeted hours, and a cost of $38. Now we've got our labor materials, we've got our drive time, and our unload and load time are going to the nursery. So we're going to save that. So next step, once that's set up now, is we're going to go in and create a template. So we're going to go to CRM settings. We're going to go into job estimate templates. If you have any comments or questions too, if you're watching live, happy to ask or answer any of the questions you got live going on as we go. So I've got a little time here before my next consulting call. So if you do have any questions as I load this up when we do it, I'm happy to help out as well, answer any questions related to this or anything else. So we're going to add a template. name it. And we're going to do show when creating jobs and estimates of both. And we're going to just add the items now. So we're going to go in and pull our Facebook Live mulch installation in, hit apply, and we're going to go to the plus sign. We want to pull in the drive time and the loading time as well. We're going to default back that to a service, and we have Facebook Live drive time. We're going to include the default services. For some reason, that duplicates that, so we're going to have to erase the first one, but now we've got our mulch install, drive time, and we're going to do our Facebook Live load time as well. And I had the include default services, so that's why it actually multiplied that out. And drive time. So actually, one of these should be load and unload time. So I've got mulch install drive time. I got mulch install mulch drive time. So what we're going to do here is I'll use this other one here, and we'll have the ability to turn these on here. And I'll edit it real quick so it makes sense as we're doing it. And we're going to save, and we're actually going to attach the estimate document. So we'll go in and pull up the 2018 lawn care document and reload that and save that. So when you load that in before you build this, you really need to have your estimate grid, your estimate document, estimate email, and acceptance email all tied in together. And then you connect them to the estimate document that creates a fluid workflow. And then we're going to save and close that. So I'm going to go in the scheduling settings and just adjust that one sub-service that we had drive time on there twice, but no load and unload time. And then I'll actually show you the workflow and the estimate, how this calculates the price live for you. So I've got drive time and mulch drive time. So I'm going to change this one in here to load time. And sometimes when you change these, we need to go back to the template and just make sure when you change that service, sometimes it will need to be reconnected in the template. So I want to make sure that's updated, and then we'll pull this live and show you how it actually works. But this is the way we estimate all our services. And if you have the ability, you can't do it on Maps Pro, which is basically Google Earth measuring. We have a service autopilot form that we use on a server provider, basically like a Chromebook or something like that. It's not on a mobile. We plug in the custom fields, and it automatically populates all of this as well. The template, we're going to pull this up real quick just to make sure we've got all the services in we need. Then we'll actually go live with the estimate, show you how it's done. All right, so we've got load time, everything's in it. We're going to reload it. Yes. And it looks like we're in good shape. So let's save and close that. And let's actually look at how this is actually done now. So if you're just joining us, we built out an estimate blueprint with all our services for pricing, overhead recovery, materials. We went into the services, set the services up. We drove them into a template that tied into the estimate document that did your estimate grid, estimate email, acceptance email, and the estimate document. And now we're actually going to go live and test this thing out. So we're going to go into our test client here, pull this up, and actually pull up the estimate. So if you could measure this online, you would actually use Maps Pro. If you got to go on site, I'd recommend having a Chromebook that you log into the desktop instead of the mobile. You plug that all into the form as a custom field that maps it over. So I'm going to show you what this looks like if we could actually measure it online. A lot of the commercial properties will just go into Maps Pro and measure that out. And that seems to be working pretty well for us. So once this loads, we're going to pull this up, save the custom field, drop into the estimate, pull the template up, and the pricing with overhead recovery should all be completely loaded in there for us. So that'll be pretty good for us. So let me just refresh this here. I'm in my home office with the holidays here, and it's not as quick as my regular office. I'm running off a Wi-Fi jetpack, so that may be some of the delay here. But once we get this in, you'll see the workflow here. So once this loads, we're going to use the Property Measurement Maps Pro, and jump in and create a live estimate. If you have any other comments, questions while I'm waiting for this to load up here, feel free to put them live. Want to say what's up to Josh, a couple other longtime viewers. But we're going to get into this and actually show you how we use Service Autopilot to do this here. Once this loads, just bear with my slow internet here. It's silently crushing me here as we're live. So let's see if this will load. If not, I will, there we go. So property measurements. We're going to hit that, and then we're going to go in and get that custom field and drop into the actual estimate. But this is the workflow here. If it's a larger property, depending on the satellite view, you may be able to measure it right here. This test client is probably not the best example to actually see what it looks like. But if you go in, these are the landscape beds here. And so we've got that one. So maybe there's some more in the back here. So we would want to go and just put the number 1 here in the area, hit add, and this would be area number 2. So we're going to add another area here. So we can add or subtract multiple areas of the landscape beds. So looks like we've got 724.87 square feet of beds that need to be edged. We're going to go into custom fields and go into the Facebook Live mulch. Now this may take a minute. No one normally has this many custom fields, but Simple Growth has been building a lot of these out for SA clients as well as testing. So it tends to be a little crazy in here. Let's just see if I can search for it. And it's not going to let me. So bear with me. I'll grab this custom field and show you how this actually works. All right, we got about every custom field I need. I got small, medium, and large shrubs, length of landscape bed. I need the square footage of landscape beds here. So if somebody's live watching this with me and you see it, let me know. There it is, bed square footage. So obviously you'd never have that many, but this is our test account. So we're gonna hit save. A little button's gonna come up here, save custom field. And we are gonna scroll down to add an estimate. Now, once we do this, we can pull that template in and actually load this estimate up. And one of the questions on Facebook was, can SA actually calculate the amount of quantity and materials and time based on that square footage? Yes, it absolutely can. So once we get in here, we're going to hit this button for templates, and that was under CRM settings, the estimate template that we had made. And this is taking a little bit longer, obviously, my internet connection, but let me, once this loads here, I'll pull this up, and it's a quick process to get this in here. I try to refresh this here and see if I can get that to force itself through here again. But in a normal environment, this is a seamless, quick process. Like I said, we're just struggling with the internet in my basement right now. So there we go. So we pull that up. We're going to redo this under estimates. We've saved the turf square footage, the bed square footage. Wait for this load. I apologize if you're watching this live or even recorded, but at least if you are looking for the workflow, you can see what it actually looks like. So while that loads, I'm going to actually try to pull up another tab here to see if I can speed up the process. Add an estimate. Let's see if this helped us. add an estimate. And I apologize, this is definitely the internet, not SA, but you can struggle through this live here for the next 3 minutes. That's all I really need to show you the end result, but looks like we're having some issues with this. So one of the beauties of going live, so if you're thinking about doing some content for your marketing and everything else, first draft is better than no draft, and sometimes you got a halfway done draft here with Facebook Live. So do apologize, but basically what that's going to do is that's going to hit the add the estimate button. It's going to load the template in, and it's going to give you literally the price, the budgeted time, and everything else. It looks like this is ready to go. All right, there we go. So we're going to hit the template. We're going to grab our 2018, or I'm sorry, the Facebook Live mulch estimate. Let's see if this is it. Let's just make sure. I think I had a D in there, but let's just make sure. That must be it. We're going to apply it. And that's definitely not the one we had. Let me see here. It's got skid steers in it. There it is. Facebook Live. FBID, that's the one we just had. So we'll delete the one we pulled up by mistake. And this is it here. So Mulch Install, 724 square feet is what we did. It's a rate of $440, budget hours of 4, cost of labors and materials was $264 with a profit margin of about 40%. And then we can go in and add the drive time and mulch zone. So if we hit the number 1, it's going to add that drive time for one trip, and the drive time for the other trip here, if we finished that equation, would have added the load time as well. So that gives the customer a total mulch install price of $495, budgeted time of 5 hours, and a total cost of $302. So that's going to calculate it based on the square footage. It automatically loads, and you've got your child services, which are hidden, but they're there for you to calculate the price. Next thing we're going to do is go in and hit save, hit email. And that's going to preload that pre-built estimate email, and then we can mail that out to the customer, and they can accept that live, and that would notify us. So once you have a pre-built email, that's going to load here. Scroll down. We got our 5 reasons why we're different, our testimonials, and we would fire that off and hit send. So any comments or questions how we did that, let me know. Sorry about the delay in the video, but that is literally the process to use in Service Autopilot to get the labor, materials, drive time, and load time all associated to automatically calculate and let you know what you need to do.